Those of you that watch this channel, obviously, you know that I got chevening. I think you also got chevening.
Yeah, I
we
did.
both got rejected in our first application.
Yeah.
Hi guys, it's your girl Faith, and you're welcome back to the AFM Stories YouTube channel. On this channel, you know that we create content on education, career opportunities, and we're always here for you. Today's topic is actually something very, very important. It's something that a lot of people have reached out to me to talk about. It's something that I am going through in this moment. Like, it's so relevant. I'm sure at the time you're watching this, I will have left the season, but it's something that is very personal to me and something that many people around me have witnessed. It is rejection. As you can see, I have a lovely guest with me, one of my favorite people in the space. Like, it's such an inspiring figure. This is Ahmed. I call him K Factor, but all of the fans that know him as Ahmed. Why he's just smiling.
Yeah.
See, he's so humble, but yeah.
I mean, it's so great to be here, and it's so
Yeah.
great to share my own experiences as well, and my own piece of the cake.
Yeah.
as well. So
We've all faced rejection. I'm sure, like everybody. Many people feel like when they see people succeeding, maybe see people getting scholarships, getting jobs, like, oh, they just got it, it was easy. But the truth is that a lot of these people have faced rejection. Everybody faces rejection. Those of you that watch this channel, obviously, you know that I got chevening. I think you also got chevening.
Yeah, I
we
did.
both got rejected in our first application.
Yeah,
But we
definitely.
bounced back and we got it later. So I just want you guys to, glean a couple of lessons from this, learn from him. Everybody gets rejected. I've been rejected a lot. And I know that if you're going through a lot of rejections now, then this video is going to really help you. So K Factor is going to be giving us some tips on rejection. But firstly, walk us through like your rejection story and your experience and how what was your rejection story, Seth? Like the one that hits you the most, because I know that we have all gotten plenty.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are like multiple rejections that you get, and there's no way you can actually avoid rejections. In the kind of work, like if you're doing something, and if you're applying and if you want to progress, there's no way you can actually escape rejection. So rejection is part of life, and I would say that I have so many rejection stories, and I have so many rejections, journey as well. But I even like to like start with like when it comes to like even accessing job opportunities, for example, in a new country entirely. I mean, I was so lucky in the UK that when I finished my master's degree, I was able to like land a job immediately. But before I landed that job, so I applied for like 2 roles in the same organization, and the first interview I did, I got rejected for that, basically. And when they reached out to me with the rejection email, and it was like the final interview, when they reached out to me with the rejection email, they asked me that would I be interested in getting feedback, and I said yes. And we had this conversation. I got this feedback, and the other job I applied to also invited me to the interview as well, the final interview in the same organization. So I used the feedback I got in the first one, and then I applied it in the second one. And even with that one, I was just like, I don't care if you select me or not, but I would just like share and talk and leverage the feedback. And then I got that one, and I could recall that when I started the job and started the role, I asked my boss like, why did you select me? And one of the things my boss said was that it's because of your attitude towards the rejection and how you were able to receive feedback. And I'm like, I actually didn't know that those were the things they were looking at beyond even like being rejected. Is how I was able to receive feedback and apply the feedback in the next interview. So the people who are rejecting you are not bad people. It's more or less of like reflecting and being able to apply what you've learned from that process into the next opportunity. And I can say that has happened to me multiple times in many different applications that I've applied to, where I would apply the first time, I won't get it, and then the next one I'm going to get it. It's the same with tuning. I applied the first time, I was longlisted, and didn't get the final shortlist. Used that lessons and those experience, and I got it the next time. When I applied for Mastercard Foundation Scholars Program the first time as well, I didn't get it as well. I used the experience as well to apply for the next one. And I think that has been my life. It's been around applying the lessons, reviewing my mistakes, and finding new ways to be able to like tell my stories better, or to apply that into the next endeavor or what I'm doing. So I think that's my view on rejection. And those are like a bit and piece of my rejection story. And I can say that transitioning from that job as well to other jobs, I applied for multiple jobs and I got rejected. There were ones that I made it into the final, I didn't get it. I had multiple and countless rejections. I can't start sharing these stories here because it's like loads of stories. But the truth is that at the end of the day, you're not your rejections. So, and I'll be sharing like, tips. I'll be going into like, what are the, how do you deal with rejections, right? When you face multiple rejections, because people be like, you receive all of these rejections, how on earth are you able to still continue? For
I
example,
think that was actually the next
if,
question I wanted to even
yeah,
ask you because I know that you handle rejections very well. Like you're someone that can get rejected 9 a.m. and 9:15 you are up and bubbly and talking to people and it's like that did not happen. So like how like for someone that is like really like going through it, maybe they put all their mind in this job application or in this opportunity application and they got rejected and they feel crushed and they feel like quitting and giving up. Like how do they walk through their mind? How do they get themselves to a place where they can get rejected 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. they are back to base? How do you move past rejection?
I think the first thing is to, I think I will start with something that I didn't probably even add into the notes of things that I want to share about, how to handle rejections. And the first thing is to be grateful for things that you have. I think, many times we are not grateful for things that we have. And when that happens, we lose the blessings, basically, or we lose our blessings. For example, the fact that you are even alive to apply in the first place and to be invited to an interview and you've passed a particular phase, that's a blessing. And that's a process as well. But sometimes we are not paying attention to that process. We are not paying attention to those other wins, but we are focusing on the outcomes. So most of the time, when we focus too much on the outcome, we fail to see the presence. The process rather. We fail to see the process. So I think it's very important for people to like, reflect on like, what do you actually have? Be grateful for that. Be grateful for like the joy of friendship, the joy of family. You shouldn't because you're rejected and then you get angry to people who didn't contribute to your rejections. The fact that those people are even there to listen to your words and your problems is something to be grateful for. So I don't want what is affecting me to affect the people around me as well. And I think that's the idea of responsibility as well. Responsibility is, taking charge of your life, of your rejections. And that's where you find meaning. And that's where you learn, when you take responsibility, like, okay, I've failed, but I can bounce back, I can do something. That's where you learn. And because you apply those lessons into like future rejections or future opportunities, because I'm telling you, so far you're living and you're working and you're doing something, you always be rejected. But the way you deal with a particular rejection is going to save you from other rejections as well. So I will start with that and then I will talk about like, other things around rejection as well. And one of it is that you're not your rejection. You know, your application was rejected, but you were not rejected. I think it's very important for us to separate ourselves from our rejection or to separate our purpose from our rejection. That you were rejected doesn't mean you shouldn't pursue your work or what you're doing because your purpose is greater than the rejection. And maybe sometimes people cannot see your purpose, and that is fine. Or maybe sometimes they don't align with your purpose at this moment, and that's okay. So I've come to the realization that when I apply for something or I tell a story, I get into an interview and I share things that I believe in, and somebody says, I don't believe in what you believe in, that's also fine. That means we don't align today. Maybe we could align tomorrow. And I've seen cases where the people who actually reject me will end up sharing panels together, in the future. And I'm like, oh, some people be like, I was deeply inspired by what you shared then. And sometimes your rejectors might end up becoming your greatest advocates who then speak for you behind the closed doors in some certain places that you don't know. One of the things that I've learned is that I will give my 100%. I'll go into the application, I'll show up. I'll go into the interview, I'll show up because I'm being auditioned. And, and the attitude matters because you never can tell who have gotten something from you. I don't know where you will meet again or whether you will reapply to the same place again. And then it's because of that attitude. It's how the way you've been able to show up, they're able to connect you to an opportunity. And I can say that most of my opportunities comes from attitude most of the time. It didn't come maybe I'm the best or I'm better than people. Sometimes it's based on the attitude. It's me trying again, which are like relevant skills that everybody wants to have in a colleague or have in the workforce as well. So I think you should be able to separate who you are from your rejection. I think that's one thing I'm going to touch on. I think another thing, again, I've touched on this already, and I said this, that the people who reject you as well are not bad people. So don't pick, because if you're also in their position as well,
True.
you would also reject people as well, and people will think you're also a bad person as well.
Exactly.
So when they turn the tables, you will also find it difficult to actually select people as well. So it's very important that you understand that they are also human beings, and sometimes I even go on LinkedIn to follow the people who reject me.
Wow.
And the reason why I'm doing that is that they're able to see more of my work and be like, okay, well, I would have probably take a chance on this guy. Or maybe if there's another opportunity, they will reach out like, oh, there's another opportunity. Would you want to try again? Or maybe they will release another role that aligns and I'm able to like prove myself, through that role as well. So again, every rejection is an audition. Every rejection is an audition. It's an opportunity to learn. It's an opportunity to tell your stories better. It's an opportunity to perfect your thoughts. Because sometimes you might be saying things for the first time, but then you're able to like, okay, actually, this is a story I can tell in another interview in a better way or in a better light. So every rejection is an audition. And that's why it's important to like go back and review, what you've done, go back and review your application, go back and review how you've presented yourself in an interview. And again, I've talked about having a good relationship between process and outcomes. Understanding that the win sometimes is in the process. Although outcome is good, everybody wants to win. Everybody wants to get have all of the the piece of the cake. But sometimes there are some things you've also done that you should be proud of, and I think that is also
The
important to the
attempts.
process.
Yeah.
And also, there's something that is also important, is that you need to focus on being and becoming. Your being is also important. The first thing that got you into the room in the first place is because of your being. So who are you? So when you didn't get an opportunity, it's very, very important to like also like focus on like developing yourself. It's very important in like develop like what are the things that makes you you. What are the things, you've gotten some talent, go perfect that talent as well. Focus on who you are, focus on your being, keep developing, keep growing. And at the end of the day, we are a combination of being, and there's a cycle of becoming and being as well. So all of those process is also part of the becoming and being. And at the end of the day, you have stories to tell as well. So focus on being and becoming, and be able to even separate, like I said, your rejection from you and your being, and and be flexible and keep building. I think those are the other two things that I'm going to share.
Man, that's been a lot of tips and resources. And the thing is, a lot of these things you're mentioning, as you're saying them, I'm remembering some things that I know about you. I remember that I think you applied for, it's not Diana Awards,
Yeah, no, I think I didn't apply
or you
for it.
didn't apply, but you eventually worked with them
Yeah,
in
as a
some
judge. Yeah,
way.
yeah,
Yeah, or you wanted to apply, then you did
yeah,
not. But I've just seen that in your journey, like things that you've wanted to do, either they worked out or they didn't work out, and eventually you still work with those people.
yeah.
And one thing for me is that attitude thing. Many people, when they get rejected for things, they just shut it down. They may even not ignore the people or react in a certain way, but people don't realize that certain opportunities may be years in the making. So they're like different things are adding up, and if you close the door because of the first step, you might not get to step 2 or step 10. So I really really enjoyed that. Now there's another thing I also wanted to talk about with rejection. So how do people know whether, because when people get rejected repeatedly, right? How do they find the balance between, let me stop trying, maybe I should change strategy? Because maybe it could be that you're applying for the wrong things. I don't know. Is that a factor? Maybe you're applying for the wrong things, or maybe you're not. Maybe your strategy is faulty, or like, how do you find the balance between, am I applying for something that is not for me, or should I keep going? Like, is there any point, or you just, or people should just keep trying regardless? Because I feel like, what if things are not a fit for you as well? What if you are putting the energy in something that is not aligned with your purpose? Maybe the rejection is a redirection. I don't know if you've experienced something like that, where you kept getting rejected for something, but then you realize, okay, maybe this was not for me. Eventually led you somewhere. Or if you're getting rejected for things, you just keep trying them till they work. So I'm trying to know which yeah.
I think it's very important that for people to be reflective as well. So I think it's important to reflect. And as you apply to things, you might think, am I actually shooting too high? Do I need to take a little bit step backward? And one of the things that I used to say is that sometimes to move forward, you have to move backward. Sometimes you have to pick your pieces again. Sometimes you have to pick your battery again. Are you also jumping the gun? So maybe sometimes there are some opportunities you need to start with. So there's what we call I think in therapy, there's what we call exposure therapy, where if you're scared of doing something, or if you're, aiming like really, really high, you aiming too very high. I mean, it's good to aim really high, but sometimes there's a process to the height. And maybe there's a need for you to start somewhere and say that maybe I'll go for like an opportunity first, so once I get that opportunity and then I build upon that, get another opportunity. Because sometimes the kind of application you write is dependent on what you know and the knowledge you have. Sometimes your application is based on your knowledge and your capacity as well. I've seen when I go for a program and then I'm listening to people speaking and I'm like, whoa, that's the mistake I'm making in my application. And then I go back and I apply what I've learned in the application, right? So for example, if you're into business, for example, you're going into business, and then you've participated in the business training before where you've learned about go-to-market strategy, when you've learned about, building, most viable products, when you learn about what it means to be investments ready. It's different from somebody who is doing it plain. So sometimes the quality of your application is dependent on what you know. And by exposing yourself gradually, little by little, allows you to build a base of knowledge that allows you to apply for those opportunities as well, and then you grow through the ranks. Again, this might be different from other people. Some people might be lucky enough, to like apply for one, big one, and they get it at once. And then those people might be outlier. You can't use yourself to compare. You can't compare yourself with those people as well. So it's very important for you to understand, how some of these things work as well. And if you've been applying for something long time ago and they are not picking you, whilst you're also chasing that, are there other opportunities that you can also be applying to? And that's where flexibility comes in. Not everybody will get the same fellowship. The platform, there are multiple other platforms, there are multiple other opportunities. Your platform is different from other people's platform as well. Maybe you need to also focus on other platforms that many people are not also focusing on. And at the end of the day, we'll come together to say, like, we share all of these different experiences. And people can come together and share different learnings as well. And as you're like aiming into those opportunities you want to get to, you're also applying to other ones. And at the end of the day, maybe you don't need that opportunity at some point. You'll be like, I don't think I need it anymore. Because I already possess that knowledge and I've already gotten other opportunities as well that are in tandem with that opportunity. And maybe sometimes you might now be invited as a speaker into those opportunities, or maybe sometimes you might end up becoming a mentor for those opportunities. So again, like, I said recently, I said a quote recently, so far you keep living, you would always have the reasons to be wondrous, to imagine, to create, and to be and to become. So far you keep living, there's always a chance. There's always an opportunity to do something. There's always an opportunity to create. And time is our greatest ally. Time is there to help us. And with time, so far you keep moving and you're consistent about it, doors would open. And you just need that one yes that changes everything for you. And maybe you need more yeses. But I think you need that one yes that gives you the confidence to actually take action and grow. So I would say that it's being reflective.
Oh, that's amazing. Like, I have nothing to add. Like, that's just like brilliant. Thank you. So the final question before we end this is for anybody watching this, right, who has gotten maybe 100 job application rejections, 100 scholarship rejections, and they just want to quit, like they are done. And maybe their confidence is on the floor. They cannot find the faith to even try again. Maybe they are having anxiety over interview, because these things can actually erode your self-esteem. It can break you down to the point where you're like, you're done. Like, what words do you have to say to them in this moment, or in this, what would I call it now, the wilderness that they are going to? Because rejections can feel very lonely and very sad. So for anybody that has reached that point and it's just like, yes, I get all these tips and all these things, but I'm just down. I'm over it. Because I think that there's a point you get to rejection that motivation and advice to nice to work. So if there's something you can say to that person who's just like, yes, I get all these tips, but I'm just done. I don't know. I'm over it.
Maybe you should pause. Maybe you should take a break. And go do something else and interact with people and obviously speak to somebody. If that works, to share your frustration and all, and friends who can listen to you. But maybe you should just pause. Maybe you should just take a break and do something else. Engage with life. Some of our greatest inspiration come from engaging, with life itself. Maybe sometimes when you're the only way you can overcome chaos is by being calm. When there's a storm, you can't struggle through a storm. You calm your way through a storm. And sometimes that comes with pausing sometimes, and doing something else, or reflecting, or so. And by the time you're doing those something else, new inspiration comes in. So you're coming back to the application with a fresh insight. You're coming back with an application with a fresh knowledge, or you're coming back into an application with a fresh impact. And I think that's why I feel like rejection should not stop you from doing the work that you started with, or should not stop you from pursuing purpose, right? So so I think that would be my advice. Obviously this is like personal for everybody, and I can't tell anybody to like brave through and all of those things. But I think actually sharing, they say the problem shared is a problem solved. Sometimes if you don't share, maybe the person you're even sharing with knows somebody somewhere, who can like maybe review an application for you, or even talk to you, or even like make a connection for you because they can vouch for you. But you also have to be careful of who you're sharing your problem with as well. So it's very important to like, obviously people you can trust. But one thing that I've learned is that problem shared is actually problem solved. And yeah, I don't know if this is helpful, but I think these are my thoughts.
I really like that pause thing, because I feel like sometimes you just need to pause and take a break. I think that you'll be able to come back with a fresh mind, because there's something that being in the darkness and being in that sad place does to you. I feel like it clouds your thinking, and it can prevent you from seeing even the opportunities. Some people call it learned helplessness, where you reach a point where you're not even willing to try. So definitely, I think that all of the tips that you've shared have been very helpful. Like, thank you so much. I hope that this has helped you. Pause, keep trying, try everything that you have said. Just keep pushing, and your rejection does not define you, okay? We've both been rejected. I know many people that have gotten amazing opportunities that have been rejected. It's a normal part of life, and you'll be fine. I'm rooting for you. I hope you enjoyed this video. I remain your girl Faith. This is Ahmed Alabi Kayode. Is amazing on LinkedIn. You can follow him on LinkedIn. He shares a lot of inspiring things every day. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to drop a comment. Tell me what is your takeaway from this video. I want to know. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Thank you.